So before we start, we'd like to dedicate this episode to our avid listener, competition winner. Who was it, Mr. Daniel Checkley?
It was at Mr. Ashbell
Mr.
on
Ashbell.
Twitter,
So,
who correctly answered that Pendrill's first name is Sean Pendrill.
Sean Pendrill.
And he also said he loves the show.
Love the show. Do you want to... I feel like we need to do a song dedication for the beginning. If I lead, do you want to just join in with some harmonies? I think that might be good.
Wow, I tried.
Okay, right.
But this is going to be still 8, of course we're doing this remotely.
Well, this can only go well. So
okay. He's taking a lot more than he bargained for. We said a dedication, but okay, let's do it.
Right. I'm going to count in. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Mr. Ashbell, you are the man who guessed it right. Guessed it right. You are the best. You guessed it right. Now, check to the solo.
You got me right off guard. I didn't expect it to be so lively.
What were my predictions for this series, by the way?
Like this, I need to call you up on this. There's no way you predicted this. You must have cheated.
Genuinely,
you must have cheated.
I genuinely did not.
Predicted a title episode.
Do you know what? If I'll be honest, when I said it, I was caught off guard, and I thought I'm just going to throw out some crazy concept, which I genuinely thought X-Files probably. They're either not going to cover it now, or it's going to be much later on when they're like everyone's saying, "Oh, it's jumped the shark," you know what I mean? And the ideas have got silly. So I was very surprised when this started. I mean, it doesn't get to it. We're sort of doing the episode at the start here. This is a revelation. It doesn't get into the time travel aspects of it until much later. So I thought at first, I was like, oh, it's just a strange plot. Who's this guy? Is he like got a premonition? When they start saying it's actually him, I was like, what? How did I get this?
You know what? As soon as the old man comes up to those guys and he's like telling them, and I was like, oh, I don't believe it. This is a time travel episode. I just don't believe it. There's no way.
Yeah. I'd like to say I did cheat because that's an easier explanation than we got a time travel episode. But anyway, as we're terrible hosts, we haven't introduced ourselves yet. I'm Luke, and I'm sat virtually opposite Daniel Checkley.
Yeah. I'm not opposite because you have your camera to the side.
I do,
so
yeah.
If this would be a live, Luke would be facing one way and I would be looking directly at him from the side.
It's very awkward, isn't it? I mean, I'm facing you, yeah, but yeah, I look like I'm giving you the cold shoulder, quite literally. But anyway, how have you been? What have you been up to? Nothing much?
Nothing much. Oh, I've just remembered it's my turn to do the questions.
It is? Did you have them any prepared?
Oh, my days. Okay,
well,
I can come up with some off
let's give it the big intro of Questions with the Boys.
Questions with the boys. Questions with the boys. After the chase in the sunset, one of life's simple joys. Questions with the boys.
So you've had a break. You've had all that time in between our intro. Because we do this live, obviously. We don't insert anything into the edit. What are the questions you've got for me today?
Well, the first of these two well thought out questions is, Luke, what's your favourite tree? My
favourite tree? I like an oak, a big oak tree. They're quite good, they live. I mean, trees tend to live a long time anyway, but it's quite a classic tree. Say that with a straight face. An oak tree.
It's England it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think oak's an English tree, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. when I think of like an American tree, I always think of like a redwood. I mean, the big ones.
See, I go to palm trees. I do.
Palm tree, yeah.
It's like Florida, I suppose.
There's a lot of tree. What about you? Let's hand this awkward question off to you.
I like a good pine tree. I do.
Pine tree. Okay.
Yeah. Or like the Japanese. I don't know what they're called. The Japanese blossom trees.
Yeah. I thought you meant the bonsai ones, the little ones.
No, like the blossom. I don't even know the specific type of tree. Maybe we should have researched trees before that question.
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly a botanist, so I didn't have to go with ones that I know make tables, basically.
Well, that's an important part because I do like, especially for oak, I do like the oak colour on furniture.
Yeah, do you know what though? Now saying that, I can't imagine what an oak colour looks like. So, I mean, you might present me oak furniture, and I'll be like, "This looks horrible."
That's like dark brown or like mahogany. That's well.
Mahogany's a good one because it's a nice word to say as well.
Yes, mahogany is a great word to say.
Yeah. So I think that's extensive amounts about trees there. I do have a question for you actually, but if you've not got another one,
I obviously did have another one.
Yeah,
but I would prefer to listen to yours.
Right. So my question to you, as I wouldn't have asked this about an hour ago, but
okay,
what's your favourite character from Hamilton?
Oh, have you watched it as well?
Me and Tasha literally finished it about an hour ago.
I already knew what my favourite character from Hamilton was before I watched it. But just for everyone who, I don't know, lives in a box somewhere, Hamilton's come out on Disney Plus yesterday as a time of recording, and I've been dying to watch it for so long. And I was going to save it to watch it in the theatre, but because of lockdown and stuff like that, I just thought, you know what, sorry, I'm gonna watch it. And so we sat down to watch it. My God, it's a masterpiece.
It's really good, isn't it?
I loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I said to Tash after it finished, I was like, this makes me want to watch more musicals, even though I know that's practically impossible at the moment.
yeah, so true.
It does make me think, though, I wonder if they're going to do this kind of thing more, where they're going to say, okay, maybe we have to have a contingency in case we never get to tour this, or, you know, whatever. So maybe producing or like doing a recording of the producing might be a more common thing in future.
I would be interested to know what the effects are for Hamilton now. And I'll tell you why. I love the theatre and I love musicals and I go as often as I can. I would not be put off of going to see the stage show.
No.
After the film.
No.
For me, it's a completely different feeling altogether. And even as much as I enjoyed it on the film, I know I enjoyed it a lot more in theatre. And so I wonder whether the majority of people would feel that way. So not only that, would it even get more people because it's available to more people, so more people know they like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you tend to... I feel like the average sort of theatre goer goes to stuff that they know they're going to like or have a strong feeling they're going to like it. Whereas if you'd have told me there's a musical about 1700s American politics, I'd be like, I don't know if I'm going to be into this. But like now watching it, I'm like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah. But to go back to the original question, I'm a big fan of Lafayette and Jefferson.
Lafayette's my favourite as well.
Lafayette's phenomenal. That's so good. But he plays a great role as Jefferson too.
Yeah.
I don't know who the actor is.
Yeah.
But the part of the original cast, the actor that played both those characters, is just phenomenal.
Do you know what though? I think the best songs in it, and everyone's going to hate me for this probably, Aaron Burr's songs are the best ones. I thought they were really good.
My favourite is I don't know the name of them. I know I've got a few favourite songs that I like. But my favourite is the one that Angelica sings about passing up on Hamilton and
what's it? Is it Satisfied? Is it?
Yeah. I thought that was phenomenal. I watched that just in silence.
Yeah, the rewind bit was really good. Like the stage direction of it. Yeah.
But no, the stage direction of the whole production is just just so good.
Yeah.
Before we get into the show, this spot we was talking about just like general time period, I suppose, after we watched it, and me and Jen, this is, and we got talking about like the founding fathers and just different presidents, and we ended up talking about Mount Rushmore. Right? Yeah. And I was surprised myself because I had a lot more knowledge on the founding fathers and whatnot than I thought I ever would have. It must have just picked it up somewhere along the way. So I'm going to put it to you right now. Mount Rushmore, without searching, who are the 4 people on Mount Rushmore?
So the easy ones are Washington and Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
So those are the easy ones. Is Thomas Jefferson on it?
Jefferson is on it, yeah.
Okay, so just got to get one more.
It's a little bit later on this one.
A little bit later on. Than all the ones I've previously said, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's difficult, man.
Yeah. Any idea?
I don't know, so I'm just going to go with a silly answer. Woodrow Wilson.
You're not too far off, to be honest with you.
Who was it?
Roosevelt.
Oh, was it? Do you know what? I thought, nah, it can't be Roosevelt. They wouldn't have done it that late. But yeah.
Well, it's Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, Teddy, yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I was quite impressed that I knew that when I was asked, because that's something I just didn't know I knew. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I want to take a bit more of an interest in American history because. My God, it seems fascinating.
Yeah, I there was a lot whilst watching. I was like, I never knew any of this. Like, there's so much to miss. But then again, we don't get taught it. We get taught Tudors and the Romans and stuff like that. You know what I mean? European history. So, but do you know what? It has sparked. Before this, I've started. I mentioned in a chat group, and this is where everyone can call me a nerd. I started like watching documentaries on world history and different specific times, just because I realised I was like, there's so much stuff, like, like the core, like Tudors and Greeks, Romans, and the core stuff in it. But there's so much that you don't know about. Like one of the things I found out was that the richest man to ever have lived, like even like if just for inflation, is an African king called Mansa Musa, and his net worth is something like. What would it, just for inflation, something like $300 trillion or something.
Right.
Something like ridiculous like that, like that no one will ever catch. And it's like, whoa, I didn't even know about this. Like, yeah, so I've just been going through and trying to go through history. Like Wally.
I think it's that stage when you realise that you only really get taught. Like you said there, you said about the staples, but that's the staples for us.
Yeah.
You know, in England, it's not the staples for everyone else in the world. And it does make you sort of really want to dive into different aspects of it. Especially, I think, like sort of more recent history, like the American history, because it's just fascinating to see sort of how we got where we are now. You know what I mean? That's the beginning of the process.
Exactly. Like in Hamilton, how. I mean, to be fair, the more we look into British history throughout the ages, we are the villains, but in that one, we're quite clearly the laughable villains, you know what I mean? With the king.
Definitely.
But yeah, it does make me want to jump through time and different history periods more. Kind of like an old man from an episode of The X-Files that we've recently watched. Do you want to talk about Synchrony? So I should have said this is episode 102 of Most Unwanted, as we're firmly into our 3-digit period.
Yep.
And this is episode 19 of the 4th season of X-Files, so we're coming close to the end now. This was titled Synchrony, I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's never once explained, and in the production notes there's nothing about what it means. I'm guessing chrony and sync is kind of timey words, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also, you've got like the sort of the synchrony of the two same characters in the same time periods.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just didn't... When I found out that it was a time travel episode, then the title, I just thought, it's just, there's no bigger meaning to it other than that. It was directed by James Charleston, which I've not heard that name before. Sounds new.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell to me either.
Written by Howard Gordon and David Greenwalt, which also sounds like a new name. So maybe we've got some new, fresh faces on this one.
Okay. To be fair, it does feel a little bit different to the usual episodes.
Yeah. It feels the most out there in terms of, like, I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like, we're seeing, like, plots about alien hybrids and stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, it's just an X-Files episode. We get a time travel one, we're like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it is too far out there for an X-Files episode.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like it's definitely more sci-fi than mythology, which is what, I don't know. Saying that X-Files does deal with sci-fi, so it's a very strange one. But I know what you mean as well when you say it does feel a little out there, even though it shouldn't really. It just feels a little bit too far-fetched to be an X-Files episode.
Yeah, I always think when you include time travel in something, it's either like a wacky comedy or it's like a far future science fiction. So like Terminator is like super sci-fi, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the problem you have with time travel in anything is there's so many rules to consider.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I like this episode. Because X-Files kind of turns around and went, who cares? Who cares about the rules? We don't need to explain time travel to you. All you need to know is it's happened, and this is the consequences of it. They don't go into the time travel, which is a very clever way of getting around it, to be honest.
He said, to say the closest we get to explanations about it is the method or what happens as you travel through time, and even that uses a lot of like scientific basis in the explanation of it, which I quite liked. So. Yeah, but we'll get into the episode. Oh, so it was originally aired on April the 13th, 1997. We're jumping ahead of ourselves there. Too easy, these time puns. So we are at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and we see some trees in the wind, and we see an old man running across the street. And then we sort of get this sort of pan to a clock. I wondered if the time was significant. I guess it sort of frames that when this thing's going to happen, I suppose. We see two men arguing, Lucas and Jason, and they're arguing about results of some tests that they've been doing. We don't really get the full picture of this until much later, but they're basically arguing about falsified data. And one guy's going to go public with it is what we eventually find out. But anyway, in this moment, the old man grabs Lucas, but as he's basically telling them that they can't cross this road or they can't go down this road, and he says he's trying to save his life. And as he grabs him, he falls over, drops all his papers, and this is when we see a security guard who arrives, and he asks what all the fuss is about, basically. The old man keeps persisting that Lucas is going to die if he goes down this road, and he also tells the other guy, he tells Jason, and he actually says his name, not to let him do this. So this sort of shocks Jason, as he knew his name. This old man is carted away by the security guard, and as he's driving away, he's still repeating this as he's driven away. But it doesn't shake Lucas. He just thinks this is a crazy old man who sort of grabbed him. He carries on walking down the road in a mood, and Jason sort of leaves him. This is when Jason, as he's walking up another road, sees the buzz that the old man mentioned that Lucas is going to get hit by coming down the road towards him. And as he goes to warn him, we see Lucas has dropped his papers all in the road as he leans forward and tries to get out of the way. Right as Jason is there, we see the buzz just absolutely clock him one, knock him down and kill him. The bus driver gets out and basically starts accusing Jason of pushing him in the way, as Jason looks down in shock and then sees on his wristwatch that the time was 11:46, which is the exact time that the old man said that he would die.
Yeah.
And this is the opening scene.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. As I say, I found it hard to critically analyse this because all the way through this opening scene, all I was thinking was, I cannot believe Luke's cheated and he's...
See, I genuinely didn't think it was a time travel episode at this point. I thought that this guy just got premonitions or something. Because that, to me, would be a more X-Files-y kind of thing, you know, if he's like, oh, some psychic connection or something like that.
Yeah, we've had episodes like that, haven't we?
Yeah, so that's where I thought it was going to go. I didn't expect it to actually go, no, he's come from the future.
I'll be completely honest. As soon as he said, Jason, you've got to save him, I guessed it was him.
Yeah.
I guessed he was Jason in the future. I don't know why. It's one of those. I think it was. And when you were saying in the intro about like the sort of the lingering clock shots and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
For me, it just all felt very Back to the Future. And so on no other basis on that alone, I think my mind trained to treat stuff like that as time travel. And I sort of kind of guessed what we was getting just from the genre of the episode that we was watching. But it didn't take away from my enjoyment, I've got to say. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this intro. I thought it sets up quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking forward to seeing where it went.
Yeah,
it didn't go the way I thought it would go with mine. I thought it was getting full-on, travelling in time, blah, 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 the whole shebang. We didn't get that at all. What we got was, it was, for me, it felt like an episode about the consequences of time travel, not about time travel itself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it sort of uses time travel as this framing device, but doesn't actually go into, the whys and wherefores of it. It's just, oh, this guy can travel in time and this is why it's wrong, basically. After the credits, we see Mulder and Scully basically looking over a photo of this guy, Lucas, the crime scene and everything. He starts explaining what we've just seen, essentially. We should also get the names and backstory of all of them. That basically they work for MIT, which I've only just figured that out. That MIT stands for the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, isn't it?
I've got no idea, to be honest.
I think that's, I've always heard of MIT as like, it's kind of like Oxford or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you're a mega brain if you're an MIT student. But yeah, I'll never put together what it actually stands for. So I guess the M's Massachusetts.
See, I always knew it was something different, but MIT to me means Murder Investigation Team.
I mean, yeah.
Because in England there are MIT divisions, so I know it's completely different, but I've never really given it much thought, to be honest.
Too many acronyms.
I think in my head, I always thought it was like a criminal, a university for like criminal studies or something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It could be anything. But so he explains that they were both professors of biology, and one was like an advisor. Lucas was his advisor. And this is where Scully basically thinks that this is because they were arguing that this is sort of a clear-cut case. But we also see tape that Mulder shows Scully of the interview where he explains about this old man and what had happened with the old man. Scully starts asking about the old man if we can. She actually says, "Was he wearing a long black coat, long black robe, and a scythe?" So sort of taking the piss out of it, but. We find that they can't question him because he's disappeared, and they can't question the security officer because he's dead.
Yeah.
So Scully asks of what, and we go to the Boston medical examiner's office, and the coroner is basically explaining this to him, saying he's not really sure what's killed them, and it's hard to do an autopsy because they don't know whether to, I think he says saw or cut. And when we see him, we understand why the guy's basically been frozen to death.
Yeah. Which, again, was a little bit like, came out of left field a little bit. We didn't really know what was going on at this point because, at least for me, I was expecting this sort of time travel episode. I didn't expect this aspect of it to come in.
Yeah. I mean, by the end, obviously, it's more, you understand this freezing point to it. But, so we didn't get this... we didn't understand we'd get this freezing plot to it as well. So he mentions that something's been inserted into his ear. Or no, Scully mentions that something's been inserted to his ear, but I think this is just a thermometer they're talking about, isn't it? Because they took a temperature reading.
I think I'll bring this back up again. Like there was something blocking his ear.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know what they was talking about there.
I think initially it's sort of been like, oh, what's happened to his ear? But I think it is just that they temperature checked him. I think that's all it was, but I'm not sure. Yeah, but Scully also temperature checks him. He says that on the night the body temperature didn't match what the low temperature would be, and Scully actually says after checking it again that the temperature is still going down.
It's degrees at that point.
Yeah, which I've got. I'm not got a clue what 8 degrees Fahrenheit would be in Celsius. I can never do that conversion.
I'm still with English temperatures, let alone American.
Yeah. Cold as shit is all we know.
Thing, like, honestly, like, so I say, like, oh, how warm is outside? And someone will give me a Celsius. So just tell me if it's shorts weather. I don't know.
Do I need to wear a jacket or? Scully thinks that. It must be something like liquid nitrogen that's caused this, because there's nothing that can freeze somebody that quickly and to that temperature. But Mulder isn't sure, and he wants to speak to Jason about all this. So we go to the 6th precinct, and we see Jason talking to a woman who we later find out is his girlfriend Lisa. Jason says. Mulder thanks him for agreeing to see him, and Jason says that he just wanted to speak to someone who will listen to him. He explains about Mulder explains about the security guard freezing, to which Jason sort of flips out and asks, is he trying to screw with him? Is he trying to, like, mess with him mentally, I guess? And Jason says that, on top of this, he explains what had been happening, and why him and Lucas were arguing. He says that Lucas was threatening his reputation by trying to leak some information about falsified data. We find out that Lucas and Jason were both up for the same grant, and we also find out that they're both working on cryobiology, which as soon as you hear cryo, you knew it's something to do with freezing, and this is where it starts gelling together.
But again, it starts showing together to a certain extent, but we know as the audience that he wasn't involved.
Yes. Yeah.
So we know his innocence from the off.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like this frustration for him because we know, and obviously he knows that he didn't do any of it. He didn't push the guy in front of the bus, and he didn't freeze this old man. Mm-hmm. We know that, but we can still see as the audience how bad this looks for him.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting for the same grant. It looked like he killed him, and this guy who's the only witness of something else dies of being frozen when they're involved in
field expertise. And then not on top of that, I think in the next scene they mentioned that he's now a suspect for that killing because his fingerprints was found inside the car.
Yeah.
And you just kind of felt this weird frustration for him, even though, like, you don't really know the character, but, like, you can understand why he's frustrated, because his life's just falling apart in the space of an hour.
And he's done nothing, really.
Well, he has done something, just not present him.
Yeah. The worst thing he did was lie, basically. So yeah, as you mentioned, Scully calls and says that Jason's fingerprints are on. I don't know if they're either on the body or in the car. I can't remember what they said.
It's on the inside of the car.
It was inside the car. And she basically.
I think it was the incriminating ones on the inside of the car.
Yeah, and she says that he'll be serving 25 to life, and this is where I thought, oh, is this old man him after he's been in prison and he's trying to sort of. Yeah, this is where I thought maybe it's a time travel plot, and he's trying to not get himself in prison, but I thought it was going to be this story of him accidentally causing himself to be imprisoned or something.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But again, this is the problem. Time travel has its rules.
Yeah.
And so there are time travel shows where you cannot change time. And so if that was the case, the rules would be that, yes, he did go to prison, and he went to prison, and he was the one that caused it, and there was just an infinite loop of him causing himself to go to prison.
Yeah.
But you would assume, because it doesn't follow those rules, because they have that photo later on of them living a happy life and making all these discoveries, the old man never went to prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the old man lived his life as was. So, again, it always gets complicated when you start talking about time travel, but it makes me love the fact they don't go into it even more.
Yeah, because it's left so open. All we get really about knowing the future is from old Jason basically saying it's bad.
Exactly. It's bad. We've made a mistake. I can't go into why. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
I've come back trying to stop it.
Yeah.
Simple.
And that's all you need to
Very
know.
much the Terminator way of doing it. Like you said, it's.
Do you know what though? This needed more chases down the what's it called in Los Angeles? Yeah. We need more of that with a big truck.
Oh, I'd love it. And skin them on the back of a bike.
Just blasting people with a shotgun.
I'd be down for that. That'd be amazing.
Oh God.
A bunch of flowers and they just pull the shotgun from it. Skinner would have made such a better Terminator.
Who would be? Who from the X-Files would be? I can't remember the actor's name, but the Liquid Terminator.
Oh yeah, I can't remember his name. I feel like that's a Mulder role, you know.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't.
Check.
It's what? Krychek. Yeah, Krychek. Yeah, nail on the head there. It's Krychek.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I can't remember the actor's name now. I just remember. I always remember him more fondly from Wayne's World. Anyway, let's not go on a Terminator tangent. We said we wouldn't do this. So we're at the Hotel James Monroe, and we see a Dr. Yanichi. He's trying to get his room, but they're basically telling him he doesn't have a reservation. And this is where the old man, or old Jason, meets with him and says that he's here on behalf of Jason. He's meant to meet him, and he actually has accommodation for him. So they go to this room that the old man set up. The old man looks unwell. He's sort of sweating, and Yanichi says he'll get him some water. And basically, as he's doing this, the old man follows him, starts explaining that Yanichi will solve the vitrification problem, which at this moment we're like, what does that mean? But it's sort of essentially he figures out how to revive somebody out of this frozen state. Is what I gathered. And Yanichi at this point is a bit confused because he said that they're looking into this, but they haven't done this yet. And he explains how he does it with replacing water with sugar, this, that, and the other. And as he does this, the old man stabs Yanichi with a device, some kind of needle. And when he stabs him with this, he says that this is the only way. So again, this is where we start seeing that he's coming back to change things or take people out, which are crucial to this process.
Yeah, and as the story goes on, you start to realise that. Well, I think he says as much that it's not just through. You're not trying to kill people for the sake of killing people. He's trying to stop what eventually happens, and so by saving the guy at the start, that would have stopped the whole process because he would have he would have basically sort of blown all of their careers up.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't have been able to develop it in the first place. Yeah. So it's not about anything personal. It seems to be about stopping whatever they end up doing in the future.
This is essentially his plan B.
Yeah.
And after he's injected him with this, we see that his hand turns white and he starts freezing basically, and he screams in pain. I quite like the effect on this actually. Like it's nothing ridiculous. It's how it would look, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. To be honest, I really liked it. I like the idea that it happens instantly as well, and that what you see going throughout all this is that even the effects of them reviving them, which we'll get into later, I thought was really good. It actually made me feel quite uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah, the process, that bit was quite intense, I found.
Yeah, so I like the whole all like the sort of sciencey bits in this. I really like the way it's done. I really like the visuals of it.
Yeah. Back at the hotel room, we see that police are everywhere, and apparently the bellboy has told Mulder that Yunichi was with an old man, so they're sort of doing the chasing up of this guy. Scully thinks that this old man is Jason's accomplice and is involved in all these crimes. Mulder thinks that maybe Jason's been set up, and this is not involving him. And this is where Scully notices the pinprick in Yunichi's hand, and he says that she says that it also matches the security guards. She says she's analysed it, and it has some kind of unidentified chemical compound in there. And Mulder says that there's somebody else he needs to go and speak to about this, after Scully suggests maybe they speak to Jason. We go to the biomedical research facility, and this is where we see the girlfriend from earlier, Lisa, is now working in this lab. Scully shows her the readings that they got from Dr. Yunichi's hand, and Lisa says that this is a rapid freezing agent, but she's sort of a bit confused how they've actually got this, because I think basically they say later on that this doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of this throughout this episode. Right, again, it's another reason why I liked it. So you had a lot of instances where these scientists or these people involved in the story was familiar with what these things were, but was shocked at the sight of it because it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So even though it's a weird emotion to sort of try and portray, I suppose, because you've got to try and portray the fact that this complete confusion as to, I know what that is, and that shouldn't be there. That, you know what I mean? Like, you're the only person in the world that would know what that was, and yet it shouldn't be there already. Like, how is this happening?
Yeah,
so it'd almost be like panicky that like maybe someone's discovered it before you. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, especially if an FBI agent who's got no connection to you is coming to you with this thing that only you or seemingly you have come up with. Yeah. So yeah, she goes on to explain about freezing, or rapid freezing, should I say? Yeah. Pulls out a fridge freezer because you put a meat in there. But yeah, she goes on to explain that they have to do this to stop cells breaking down, this, that, and the other. And she also says that this chemical only exists in the computer. She has this computer model of the chemical, and she says that it's years from them having the technology to synthesize it. They explain about Yunichi and basically that he's been frozen. And Lisa at this point says that they might be able to revive him using some techniques that she's developing. I guess this is sort of the counter to this freezing agent. So she's also in the early stages of doing the reversal of this. Yeah. So basically, Lisa gives him a special bath, and he's sort of Yunichi's sort of immersed in this like yellowy liquid. I guess it doesn't really explain what it is. Remind me of Batman. Do you know the Lazarus pits?
Yeah, very much so.
They explain that they're trying to revive him. Oh, sorry.
So no, I was just going to say, it reminds me of, again, it's very sci-fi. This happens in like Star Wars and like Starship Troopers. And it's just if you want to sort of show someone healing, just show them taking a bath in coloured liquid. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just, it doesn't need to be explained. You sort of get the picture of it.
Even Dragon Ball Z has that. It just doesn't float him in a tank.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the way.
Yeah, special water sorts everything out. So yeah, they're trying to revive him. So they take him out of this tank, and they try to get his heart started again because his temperature's now gone up, I think, hasn't it? Yeah. So they try and revive him with with just CPR and what they call the defibrillator. And they get him going. He actually has a heartbeat, but they notice that his temperature just is consistently rising. And we see quite a grotesque scene as
Yeah.
the core temperature of this guy goes through the roof, and he starts getting like blisters on him as he's sort of like screaming in pain. And this culminates eventually in him basically bursting into flames.
Yeah, it was difficult to watch. This one was because it's just him choking at the start that really got me, and then watching the people around him, because they almost be thinking like, "What have we done? Like, have we brought it back just to suffer?" Like, it's just a horrible way to go. And it really. I thought it looked great. I thought the acting was really good, and I thought it like really got the effect that it was going for.
It does make you think. Usually, like scientists have to have a lot of sign-offs to do anything in, with human trials. Yet this guy, they just dunked him in a bath and said, "We'll get him back up, no problem."
Well, I suppose with does it count with it? Like if it's corpse, like Mulder's literally says, we've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if his family would agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Just dead body. I don't know. Again, it's one of those. We laugh, but ultimately it moves the plot forward. We're not like criticizing it too much.
No, exactly.
After this happens, Lisa isn't sure what has happened really. She thinks that maybe this compound is unstable, and how it rapidly decreases temperature and keeps decreasing it. Maybe if warmed, it has the opposite effect. And she says that maybe leaving him in the tank might have actually saved him. Sort of a bit of scientist guilt, I suppose, of trying an experiment.
Also a nice, easy way to let them know how to do it later on in the episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I only left them in longer. She leaves, saying that she needs to speak to Jason, and then later on, she's on a bus traveling to see Jason, and we see the old man also on the same bus. Sorry, I've realised I keep saying buzz.
You know what? I said to Jem, this is such a weird roundabout way. Literally, like yesterday, we drove past. It was like a West Midlands bus company, and it was so there's like a pun on the word buzz.
Yeah,
and it was like a B on the logo. And I said to Jem, I don't know why buses come up so much in our podcast.
It does happen. Yeah.
Times I've had to say to everybody, when Luke says buzz, he means bus.
Do you know what? It's one of those, like, there's a lot of Black Country, like, accent and dialogue things that aren't obvious to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand that that's not obvious, so I'll correct myself. But buzz, saying it, I've just never, ever thought of anything different, you know what I mean? It just feels like that's just a word, isn't it? Like, I understand that now. Like, it sounds weird. Like, Tash does it the same. Tash corrects me as well. But yeah, I just until somebody calls me out on him, I do keep saying that.
It's definitely not just you. It's everyone where we live. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can get away with it.
Tash said that once. My dad said something to her, and she turned to me and was like, "What did he say?" She just had no idea. So it could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the bus, I feel like I need to speak in the Queen's English now. On the bus, we see this old man. She gets off, and the old man gives chase. And as they go into this build, I don't know what it is. It's a library, isn't it? I think. Yeah. They go into this library, and she catches up with him, and basically he says at this point that he came here to kill her, and when she asks who he is, he sort of he lets go of her and walks away. We don't understand. We don't get him explain here who he is, but she figures it out at this point. And
not this point, definitely when she's looking at the photo, ideally later on.
Yeah. I definitely feel like she's sort of something's clicked at least here. Yeah. But yeah, Does he say at this point that he can't kill her? I can't remember if he actually says that.
Yeah, he does, yeah, but like it feels like he's just had second thoughts.
Yeah.
Like he physically can't bring himself to do it.
Yeah. And knowing who he is and, what
Makes
he
sense.
did for her, yeah. Later on, Mulder and Scully are talking to Lisa about this encounter, and she says that, she explains at this point that she's the one who falsified the data, and that Jason is just covering for her, and that's why he's not come clean, basically, because he doesn't want to tell anybody about this. She says that she has no idea who the man is at this point, and she also says that Jason swore that he would never tell anyone. Mulder and Scully go off to discuss about this, and Mulder thinks that this injector or whatever it is might not be a murder weapon. It might actually have some other purpose, but he's not sure what yet.
Yeah.
We cut to Mulder and Scully had to go into the hotel of where the old man was supposed to be staying, because they got a tip off of where he was. And apparently he's been living there for 5 days, they say. And it's quite a barren, sort of bare hotel room. There's nothing in there, really. While they're looking around, Scully finds the flight information for Yonichi. So he knew exactly where he was coming from and everything about that. And Mulder finds a picture of Lisa, Yonichi, and Jason all together celebrating, which we know can't have happened now because Yonichi was killed before he met either of these two people.
Yeah, which of course sends Mulder via the exact right track.
Yeah. So Mulder, this is the point where Mulder starts theorizing that the old man might actually be from the future. And he also says that the old man is Jason Nichols. To which, as she's wont to do, Scully completely thinks that this is ridiculous, that somebody's caught in time travel. But this is where...
I mean, I would agree with her that being the initial response and not, it's been an edited photograph.
Yeah. I mean, he gets that one clarified later, because that was my first thought. I was like, it could be an edited.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But they managed to get around that one later on.
Yeah. I do like at this point that Mulder uses Scully's own thesis against her and starts quoting something to her from it.
So what you're saying here is the old man is...
Jason Nichols. Although common sense may rule out the possibility of time travel, the laws of quantum physics certainly do not. In case you forgot, that's from your graduate thesis. You were a lot more open-minded when you were a youngster.
I know what I wrote, Mulder.
So Mulder says that they need to get some proof of this and show the photo to Lisa and ask if this was ever taken together to get confirmed, basically, that this didn't exist.
Yeah.
And they go away, and basically a bit later on we see at the same hotel the old man is in the lift hiding from them, isn't he?
Yes, so and then he goes into the property afterwards. This is the one bit of the episode I didn't get.
So he's waiting in there. He goes back to his room and he injects himself with the chemical. Is what he does, but doesn't freeze.
But nothing happens to him.
Yeah. So is it that bit? Or
I don't really understand why doesn't anything happen to him.
So they mention later on. There's a bit. We will get to this, but I'll just might as well do it now. They mention later on that time travel, where Stephen Hawking theorized that we could do it, but doing it would cause whatever went through times their temperature to go through the roof, so a living thing wouldn't be able to go through it. So I think they're trying to say that if you freeze yourself, you won't burn up as you go through time or something. Like that.
So I get that, and I'm guessing he's freezed himself to go through.
Yeah.
But why is he still injecting himself now? Does your temperature constantly fluctuate once you're on the other side?
I think so. Yeah, that's the only thing I can gather. Yeah, that you're constantly raising your temperature. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got from it. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
At this point, Lisa enters the hotel, and she basically says now that she knows who he is. And she also asks, how is this possible? And he goes on to say that she made this all possible. And he goes on to give an explanation of what happened and how all this happened, essentially.
30 years ago. 10 years from now, you'll be at a conference in Zurich. You'll meet a man named McGuane who's just discovered the first evidence of tachyons. Subatomic particles that can travel faster than the speed of light. And go back in time, but only for a few seconds. And only at a temperature of absolute zero. But from that, and from your correspondence with McGuane, you'll have an idea. A revelation.
What revelation?
One so remarkable, it would change the course of history.
And this is where he mentions that he came back to kill her again, and he says that he couldn't kill her. And she sort of reaches out, grabs his hand, and says that he's cold. And this is when he does inject her, and she starts to freeze. So maybe he's had a change of heart, and he realizes that he has to kill her. Yeah, we're not. It doesn't explain it too much, but yeah. We go to the police station. And we see that Jason has been bailed. I think he's been bailed by Mulder, hasn't he?
Yeah, Mulder says he did it himself.
Yeah. And he explains that Lisa's been attacked by this old man. Which, yeah, well, Jason thinks it's the old man that's attacked her. And this is where Mulder completely drops the bombshell on him that the old man is actually you from the future.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Which this guy was freaked out when he was told about the guy dying from freezing. So I don't know where he took this one. Jason understandably doesn't believe him. He says that the photo that Mulder's got is fake, but this is when Mulder says that he's had it checked and it's definitely real.
Yeah.
No
way it could be fake.
No way. No one can question it. It's definitely real. Which even Jason says maybe you should get a second opinion. Jason,
I love the fact like obviously like it doesn't bother me and like I understand why, but I love the fact that Mulder's like, there's no way that could. I've asked somebody and that's absolutely impossible that was photoshopped. It must be from the future.
Yeah. I mean, stranger things have happened. Jason doesn't understand why he himself would come back from the future to try to stop this compound being made. Is from what he's gathered is what's happening here. And Mulder thinks that the old man must have a reason to want to stop time travel. And Jason at this point thinks that what's happened to Lisa, because it was the old man, is in some way his fault. Well, it is his fault because it's him from the future. I feel like that's putting too much on yourself.
A little bit.
But we go back to the biomedical center, and Jason and Mulder enter. Jason scans in like a fingerprint scanner, but the guard actually informs him that, well, Jason's already in the building. To which he doesn't stop Jason. He just says, "Oh, no. You've already signed in."
So he knows that someone's in the building that shouldn't be.
It's either this guy who's coming second. Hang on, there's already one of you in here, or I'm fucked up with that first guy. But anyway, he's getting the sack. We're never going to see this guy again. We see that Scully is trying to revive Lisa with the doctors from earlier. And they do the same process again, and temperature starts going up. But this is where Scully says, because she listened earlier, she says, "Dunk her back in the bath." I don't know if she didn't actually say it like that. But they put her back in, and we see Mulder. Well, he keeps cutting between different stuff here, but Mulder goes to talk to a research assistant who's there, and he asks if he's seen an old man. Sorry, the notes I've written down. It just sounds funny. He asked him if he's seen an old man. It's just a weird sentence. But anyway, yeah, he says he hasn't seen anybody else. He says there was just a janitor or something like that. Which I thought they were going to say, oh, he's disguised himself. This old guy is a janitor.
Yeah.
But that was never. We'll never know about this janitor who's in the building. He has to clean up all the mess at the end. He's like, oh my god. But yeah, Mulder asks if he can get some information on Jason's compound from the computer. We cut back to Scully, who calls Mulder and says that they've saved Lisa using this double dunk method. And in the meantime, the assistant who's looking for these files says that they've all disappeared. They've all gone from... I don't know if he says the mainframe, but I assume that's a very 90s word for the server.
Yeah, they mainframe like 4 times in this last 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a very... No one says mainframe anymore, but it was a very 90s word to say, like, it's the server that has all the data on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've deleted it from the mainframe. And Mulder takes off at this point, and we see the old man working on the mainframe as he's sort of typing away, deleting the data, and this is where young Jason finds him. The old man says that they need to finish this because he says at this point what Lisa will go on to create, and explains the future.
I don't expect you to understand.
Understand what?
What she created. What we helped to create. A world without history. Without hope. Where anyone can know everything that will ever happen. I've seen that world.
This is when Mulder arrives and starts telling Jason through a window that Lisa's okay. Lisa's been saved. And the old man realizes, well, if Lisa's going to be okay, he needs to take out the next person. And he realizes that's himself. And he grabs him and says, it's better if we never existed. Mulder tries to smash into this window, but he's too late as the old man bursts into flames from this like rising temperature. And this kills both the Jasons.
There was an interesting little note I made in this scene. Is Mulder does smash a hole into the window, but then he kind of stops, and I wonder whether that's because he's afraid of fire.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that he had that fear of fire. Yeah, because it's interesting that he smashes it in with a fire extinguisher. I mean, no attempt whatsoever to save them.
I thought to myself, like you've already made this big gaping hole.
Yeah.
Like don't just stand and watch. Like if you can get in there,
yeah,
you've got a chance. But yeah, I thought, oh, hang on, I know he is afraid of fire.
Yeah, maybe it was that. Yeah, I always forget about that plot device because that was like, what was that episode? Was it Firestarter or something?
It's got to be like episode 5, episode 6.
Exactly. I know it was just called Fire, wasn't it? If I remember right. Yeah. I forgot about that one. But yeah, so maybe he was scared of the flame. Who knows? But yeah, again, I just thought it was funny. Fire extinguisher there, like, damn, too late.
Big. There's a hole leading directly to them, and you could easily aim the fire extinguisher through.
Yeah. They both burn up, both die. And this is where we see Lisa outside being taken away in an ambulance. And she's been briefed by Scully on what's happened. And Lisa says that the old man was Jason. But Scully explains now that the old man has died, as has the other Jason. And we get a little bit of a chat from Mulder and Scully. And then the final scene, typical X-Files fashion. Nothing's ever fixed, as we see Lisa looking at a model of the compound on the computer, so she still has this data. And so I guess we can gather from this that time travel will be invented in this X-Files universe.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And as Mulder said, it does set up some rules, and the rules that we're living by in this universe is you can't change the future. So no matter what happens, it's definitely time travel will definitely be existed, or at least to some extent.
Yeah.
So they literally say it's 10 years time. So we should have an idea. Like if it comes back up in 10 years time, I would love. Actually, it's season 4, isn't it? So would it?
10 years time. I mean,
actually, so this is 97, wasn't it?
Yeah, 97. So we've got time travel now, guys.
So in 2017, I'd love an episode to readdress this.
It should be 2007, shouldn't it?
2007, of course, yeah.
I can't believe we invented time travel that early. That's pretty good for us.
I know, yeah.
Go humans. Maybe that's what they want you to think. What did you think of the episode?
I actually really enjoyed this one. Again, especially this season, I feel like the Monster of the Week, rather than being the main event, are kind of acting as palate cleansers for the mythology, because the mythology arcs are so good. But that's not a bad thing. I'm actually just enjoying having these one-off episodes where we just experience a new side of the mystery of the unknown.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a different way to do a time travel episode. It dealt with the consequences rather than the actual sci-fi of it, which I actually quite liked. Because how many times have we seen sci-fi films? We don't need to have all those rules explained to us again.
Yeah.
Just keep it nice and simple and just tell a story about what happens if it does exist. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting take on time travel. Again, it's just sort of more simplified version of it, as you mentioned. I just thought it was a fun episode, do you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't too much care to a wider story, unless eventually we get some kind of follow-up to this time travel plot, but I don't see it happening. But yeah, I thought it was like just a fun episode. There wasn't anything amazing. There wasn't anything bad. It was just a solid and interesting Monster of the Week, I thought.
Luke's production notes.
So this week's production notes, I also have some additions to the end because I realised I was taking the production notes from Wikipedia. So if you ever want to just get a jump on the production notes, just go on Wikipedia. But also I was missing some stuff out because as I was watching it on Amazon, which has the X-ray stuff, is it? Where it adds stuff to it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's got something on here that I didn't see in the production notes. So I've started going to IMDb and taking some interesting factoids from my IMDb.
Okay.
So, but we'll get to those. So anyway, after series creator Chris Carter and Howard Gordon completed the script for Unrequited, the former assigned the latter to develop a new episode with David Greenwalt, who was new to the show. Well, we were right, he is new, and had been hired a few months prior as a producer. Gordon and Greenwalt met up and began writing what would become Synchrony. During this process, they struggled to find a good plot, and they almost submitted a story involving an inmate swapping bodies with another man to escape prison. Isn't that Face Off? They just stole Face Off's plot. Yeah, just the face. What's that?
Face Off.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know when Face Off came out. Yeah,
I think 94, 95, something like that.
Yes, it was definitely before 97. I'll tell you that much. We're on to you, Chris Carter. We're back.
Remember we had this rivalry with Chris Carter?
It's very one-sided rivalry. It's got to be said.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure he hated us too.
Yeah,
and it was but then the feud lasted so long that we kind of started to mutually respect each other.
Yeah. It's like when two fighters sort of have an ongoing bout, and eventually they sort of respect each other's technique. I'm sure Chris Carr respects our podcasting technique.
You better, Chris.
Oh, that's in way too threatening.
Every week, it's fine.
Yeah. However, Gordon was unsatisfied with this story as he'd recently watched the film as he believed it was far too derivative of his previous episode. Eventually, the duo read an article in Scientific American about time travel. The article claimed that while classical physics does not allow for temporal displacement, quantum physics does. Gordon and Greenwald were intrigued by the concept and decided to resituate the episode around a related premise.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they bring that up in the show, don't they, about quantum physics allowing for time travel?
Yeah.
So, yeah. They were like, write that one down. Gordon decided that the most affecting and X-Files-like story should involve a time traveler who turns out to be you. Howard was inspired to make the main antagonist a regretful scientist after hearing the story of the Manhattan Project physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer berating US President Harry S. Truman for using atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. This prompted Gordon to rhetorically ask what if Oppenheimer could go back to the past and uninvent the bomb. Soon Gordon and Greenwald began pondering fatalistic determinism brought out by the ability to see the future, with the former noting life itself is about the unknown and discovering what is in front of us. But if someone, or maybe some people, knew what would happen, they would create a new set of horrors and it would not be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we didn't really touch upon in this episode, isn't it? But the horrors that he's trying to prevent, we haven't really spoke about what they would be. But I can't imagine it opening up a whole can of worms.
It always reminds me of this kind of thing about like trying to stop things before it happens. It always reminds me of Minority Report and the problems that ability can cause. Even though I suppose mainly in that one it's because they get it wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of premonition and stopping things, it's like, is that right to stop a crime before it happens? Because you're sort of being judged. Yeah.
Even if it works, so say, for example, this technology does exist and you come back and you know there's a murderer, say, is it right for you to stop him before he's done anything wrong? Because you're stopping an innocent man at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It just opens up a whole can of worms. I can understand. It's a lot of problems we don't need right now, to be honest. We don't have problems very much.
Yeah, I was going to say, we need some more simple questions right now. Like, what is your favourite tree? That's the kind of questions we need right now.
So everyone, let us know in the comments and on Twitter, what is your favourite tree?
What's your favourite tree? And if it's also our favourite tree, we might dedicate an episode. Maybe. I feel like we need to...
We shouldn't do that after we've told them what our favourite tree is.
You gotta guess. I'll beep it out. You gotta guess. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's like way too much work. Yeah. I feel like we can't... we've got to space out the dedication, so maybe...
Oh, yeah, dedication's something special.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. Season.
Yeah, exactly. The script for Synchrony took over a week to write, with some day-long sessions lasting over 15 hours. Gordon and Greenwald were also assisted by fellow writers Ken Horton, John Shaban, and co-executive producer Frank Spotnitz. A few days before filming was slated to begin, Gordon was still frantically reworking the teleplay. During these last-minute rewrites, he removed a number of elements, including 2 useless characters, one of whom was a Stephen Hawkins-esque scientist in a wheelchair, a move that he claimed really tightened up the story. David Duchovny later revealed that a few of the episode's scenes were even written during filming because no one could know if the audience understood what was happening. Gordon later said, "In the end, I think it worked. But it's getting there that's really difficult. The experience proved so challenging that Gordon very nearly considered aborting the project, and after finally delivering the script, he swore off writing about time travel."
And that's why you don't add time travel. That's the reason why I thought they wouldn't add it into X-Files, because time travel can just be such a mess.
Yeah, you kind of have to develop... it's kind of... this is going to be a weird analogy, but it's kind of like doing a Lord of the Rings style story with time travel, I find. Because, like, when like he made that Lord of the Rings story, he already had the history of the world, so he just kind of bolted on this story on top of it. I think with time travel, you need to know the history of this events and the rules and everything like that to just tell this 45-minute story, and it just doesn't seem worth it.
No, exactly. There's so much you got to put in place beforehand.
So this is the little factoid segments of the. I'm not going to do a segment jingle because that's ridiculous. Apparently, this is the second time that Mulder has quoted Scully's thesis. Now, it didn't say what the first time was that he's quoted it.
Interesting. Do we know what Scully's thesis was on?
He does mention. I'm sure he does mention in this episode what it's about. It's got quantum physics in it, but I don't understand the exact details of it yet.
I have to have a look into that, I suppose.
I'm sure we're not, again, no dedications, but if you do know, what a thesis is about and when the first time that Mulder quotes it to her is, that would be helpful. Edgema corrections. Corrections, sorry.
To be fair, I'm going to guess, wasn't it at the very start when Scully came in and he sort of referenced her materials and basically referenced the fact that
you might be right there, actually. I do vaguely remember him sort of trying to sort of say, I do know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so maybe it was that, yeah. I'm not sure. The molecule shown on the screen is a form of dichlorophene, in which the 4 hydrogen atoms are replaced with helium. Although helium is highly unlikely to form a molecule in this way, the theoretical compound was simply intended to be something that didn't exist and that would be cold and unstable.
Oh, interesting.
There is some science to it. The stunt involving Dr. Yanichi bursting into flames was done practically on set and took a grand total of 12 seconds.
Bloody hell. Well, yeah, you wouldn't want it to last any longer, would you?
No, I've always seen... Have you ever seen back behind the scenes shots of people doing if their arm's on fire or something? It's always funny because it's them just wailing around for a bit and then people just swarming them with towels and just patting them down.
We've seen it live.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forget about that.
Yeah, we went to the Disney car show, didn't we?
What a change of pace. So we saw it at Cars, the Stunt Spectacular.
The Stunt Spectacular Disneyland Paris?
Yeah.
You probably don't remember, Luke, because we was close to freezing to death ourselves.
Yeah, I felt like the security guard at the beginning, yeah. It was... Yeah.
I think that might be the coldest I've ever been.
I'm pretty sure same here. I honestly thought I might be frozen to a seat at that point. Yeah, that was not good. This is the second appearance in the series of the actor Hiro Kanagawa. Sorry. I'm terrible with pronunciations there. He'd previously featured in the X-Files episode Firewalker in Season 2, where his character also met a grisly end.
I don't remember.
I don't remember him in that one. That was the one where they have that underground...
I remember this episode.
Yeah.
I don't remember the character.
Yeah, I can't remember him either. Scully... Oh, these are some movie mistakes they got. Scully uses an electronic ear thermometer to take the temperature of the dead security guard, which turns out to be 15 degrees Fahrenheit. However, electronic body thermometers don't register sub-freezing temperatures.
Oh, okay.
So, wrong.
Wrong.
And finally, the younger Jason Nichols has brown eyes, but the older one has blue eyes.
Yeah, but that's because... in the future, there's a shop that you can go to get your eye colour changed.
And that is the kind of retconning stuff that I love. That's my production notes for this week. Do we have any tweets?
Welcome to Dan's Twitter Corner.
We do. I thought we were going to go to Critic's Files first, but that's fine.
Oh, Talking of movie mistakes. Let's do the Critic Files first.
It stinks.
Welcome to the Critic Files.
So yeah, what did you think of this episode? What would you give it?
I like I said before, I think the main takeaway from me is it's a great palate cleanser. And so for me, I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7, yeah.
I think that's a solid score, to be honest with you. It didn't there was nothing that blew you away on it, but it was a solid episode. I enjoyed it as a one-off, and I think it did its job of just breaking up the sort of all the mythology episodes.
Yeah. I think I would have given it about a 7.5, to be fair, because I sort of found it was good, not too good, you know what I mean, like sort of in the middle of a good score, you know what I mean, 7.5. But the internet, with 2,489 votes, gave this a 7.8, so round about the same.
Yeah, I can understand that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now, do you have any tweets for us?
Welcome to Dan's Twitter Corner.
I do.
Yeah. There's a lot of jumping around in this episode.
So yeah, we've got quite a few tweets this week. So I'm just going to go through, in no particular order, I'm just going to pick a handful out and we'll just read through some of them that we can, okay?
Yeah.
We had Sarah L. Blair get in touch. She said congrats on reaching 100 episodes. She also commented on Pendrill being gone, saying sweet baby Pendrill gone too soon, which I feel like is a feeling we can all get behind. We had Green Elf Oz on Twitter saying, another great episode, guys. This is talking about Max last week. Your discussion of Max was really interesting and made me think about the mythology in a new way after watching for 25 years. FYI, Luke, you should get used to important things happening off screen.
that sounds like a dig at the future episodes.
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot happening that it'll be, I mean, especially with the later seasons. You don't forget, there's going to be time jumps as well.
Yeah, we're going to get to, I can't believe Mulder died. What?
Just to discuss that, so thanks for getting in touch. But discuss that for a little bit. I love hearing that from, especially lifelong fans of X-Files. I love hearing that they're enjoying our show and it's making people sort of think about the episodes in a different way, or maybe maybe not even the right way, but like just giving it a little bit of an alternative opinion on it. And I really like that because it rejuvenates the show a little bit.
Yeah.
People can enjoy it like they're enjoying it for the first time. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, it is an interesting.
Sorry. Yeah. Bye.
Sorry, I was.
Yeah.
I was looking at the charts. That's all right. Yeah, I did. I do find it interesting that our discussions from two idiots from 2020 watching a show from 1997 can actually have other people who've watched it for, as you mentioned, like 20 years, 20 plus years at this point now. It's got to be close to 30 years that the show has been out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting to that point now.
But yeah, it's interesting that you can watch it with sort of a fresh take from two people watching it now. That's why I always think that, like, with stuff like this, that you can never write it off. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's old and stuff like that. Like, there's always a way to recontextualize something from the past as to now, like stuff that you can look at it. And even like there's a lot of talk at the moment about like stuff being taken down from streaming services and stuff like that because it was not like right at the time. But I do think it's interesting to like sort of see stuff like they mentioned Gone with the Wind was one of them. I know this is taking a different tangent now, but it's interesting to sort of see that as like a cultural thing at the time and then discussing what it means now. And it's interesting that people are flagging that up to sort of have these discussions about older things. And I mean, I can't imagine X-Files has got anything to the point where we're going to look at it. The only episode that I can sort of think that might, like, in the future be a bit iffy is that gender bender one, the one about the aliens that change sex.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. Or one where it sort of depicts, like, I don't know, like a tribe in a certain way, you know what I mean? Or like a culture in a certain way. But even then, I don't think it's, like, terrible, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be those instances, though, isn't there?
Yeah, but like I said, I do think it's interesting to sort of look at stuff from the past, with a new eye, I guess.
Without a doubt, yeah. So, yeah, I'll just choose 3 more. We've got SKS on Twitter, said that I started listening to your podcast a few weeks ago, and it's amazing. I'm now at the end of season 1, listening to you discuss the characters and what happens. Feel like watching it again for the very first time. You discuss something happening or a secondary character, and all I can think is, if you only knew how important this little thing is going to be later on. Post a new episode, I literally have to restrain myself from listening to it right away so I don't spoil the experience of taking this journey with you. Thank you so much.
What I love about that feedback is they're starting from the beginning, so they're not going to hear their own feedback for months.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're like, hey, I sent that months ago. But yeah,
to be honest, they've got to the end of season 1 in a few weeks, so it's not going to be that long.
True.
Yeah, so thanks for getting in touch and thanks for letting us know. I love the fact that we probably make idiots of ourselves on the weekly about little insignificant things that we just write off, maybe, and it becomes really important.
I get the feeling we're going to come to the end of this, and there's going to be so much stuff we've forgotten from the first series. Like, where did that come from?
Ourselves.
Yeah, that's why I think it was a very important step forward to include the production notes and these things, because this will tell us that, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, we had on Twitter an @Mr. Spatula. Favourite moment so far has to be Luke editing the psycho music over Chet's proposed experiment of locking a baby alone in the room. We did ask for favourite moments. That was one of mine.
I had to go back and because I remember it happening, and I think I asked him. I was like, "Which episode was that?" Because I completely forgot. If there are any like podcast moments that you do remember like that, let us know what episode it's from. Because I kind of want to take those out eventually and like sort of make it, not take them out as in we need to get rid of this, scrub it from the internet. I kind of want to like isolate them and put them in like a best of clip show, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely something we can do in the future.
Yeah.
And we've had quite a few people. I'll just read one more. But to be honest with you, we've had so many people get in touch saying congrats to having 100 episodes and just telling us what their favourite part was. So yeah, thank you very much. We love hearing that, and definitely we're going to keep track of everyone's favourites and hopefully make maybe a little bit of a best of at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one that I will get through today, and hopefully we can get through some more next week. We've got Jen Sher, she says, happy 100th episode. You covered my favourite moment, which was you both actually losing it over Jersey Devil sketches. With genuine enjoyment, gave me a new appreciation for sometimes to ride an episode of the show. So yeah, I like that. But she put she's carried on here. Also, not a moment per se, but I swear I smile every time I hear the Dan's Twitter corner jingle. Between Luke's line reading and Chet's "This is not a segment," it makes me chuckle. You know what? That jingle always catches me off guard. I always forget that we've got it.
Yeah. There's sometimes where I'll make a jingle because I think it's funny at the time, and then I've made it, so I want to use it, but I massively regret it. That one's not one of them. One of the more recent ones is quite a regret after including it. Questions with the boys. I can't bear hearing my singing. I'm like, God damn it.
And you continue to constantly want to sing on this podcast.
I know. Yeah, you're right. Why do I torture myself? And the listeners. The worst thing about that is, it's really hard to hear it. I recorded 3 different takes of me singing in different keys to include in so if you listen out carefully, you can hear the highest pitch I can possibly go just in the background. I listened to the isolated version of that recently, and I don't know what I was thinking.
Hey, you did it in the name of entertainment.
I did, yeah. As I always say, pretty much, as long as it entertains me, it'll somehow find a way in.
Yeah, exactly, and people seem to be appreciating it, so that's the main thing.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to mention from that last tweet is I love the fact that you enjoyed the Jersey Devil sketches, because that's kind of what we said right at the start, which was there's going to be episodes we don't like, there's going to be silly stuff that we're not a fan of, or that the fan base in general aren't a fan of, but we'll have fun with it. It doesn't make a difference. You don't have to slag it off, and we never wanted to sort of have a go at the show. If it's there to be enjoyed, and so we'll find enjoyment out of it one way or the other. And so I'm so glad people are finding enjoyment out of episodes they may have not liked in the past. Yeah, exactly. And
I do hope that we do come across that. There's nothing worse than an okay episode. I either want it to be great or awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, there was tons more people got in touch, but that was just a handful of them. We'll try and get to some more next week.
Yeah. Cool. I suppose that's everything from us today. So we will leave you with a Twitter plug. So I don't know what I'm doing today. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can tweet us. You can message us on Facebook. Can you? I don't even know if you can, actually. I'll never check it.
There's a way.
There's a way. You can leave a message. It might not get read. If you want to email us, anything like that, you can get in touch. All the notes are in the show notes below the episode. Get in touch with your favourite moments, anything that you like from the episode, or just any observations on the X-Files episodes that we've covered or are about to cover. What's that?
Or your favourite tree.
Or your favourite tree. Yeah, we want to hear about people's favourite trees.
I'd love to hear people's favourite trees.
Yeah.
I'm pining for it. See you later.
Did you just sneeze your camera off? Oh, God. I like how you're on mute, so I just see you laugh. Oh, Christ.
I'm sorry, Luke.
Aren't you holding it?
I was holding the camera, and then I sneezed and then dropped my phone.
I just saw you go, and then it flew off. I wish we had the video recording of it.
Yeah, I managed to turn the mute on, but oh God, I'm sorry about that.